Welcome to Curious Awakenings with Em and Rama, where we wonder how magic and kindness connect. Today, we're going to be talking about the idea of surrender and intimacy in relationships. Are you ready for this, Rama?
Are we going to talk about sex?
We're going to talk about sex.
Really?
Really.
My favorite topic.
Your favorite topic, I know.
Absolutely.
I know, you've been really excited about this one. I have too, I'll be honest. Yeah, so I wanted to start by talking about the idea of surrender. I feel like, holding the sexual part aside for a moment, I'm in this moment of great surrender in my life. There's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of I'm just kind of trying to follow my intuition and do the next right thing, following the cosmic breadcrumbs.
Cosmic breadcrumbs, I love that.
Yeah, but there is such pleasure in that total surrender to the universe. And it's made me think about how beautiful that surrender can be with another person.
With the right person.
With the right person, right?
Yeah.
How that ability to really allow yourself to be your full
let
let go.
Let go is a good way to put it too.
To trust.
Let go of control.
Let go of control. How that, I think, with a partner is like a taste of God.
Oh, taste. Yeah. You were saying that yesterday when we were prepping for the show. Yeah, a taste of God. That's a great way to put it. However we look at God.
However we look at God, or source, right? And if that word
source, the
gets your
universe,
hackles
higher
up,
power.
Exactly.
I thank God. I thank God all the time. I do this. I was raised Catholic, but I just do this out of a beautiful, gratitude ritual.
Yeah.
To thank God or whoever's in control.
Whoever.
There's no one in control.
Right.
Or whatever's in control. I don't know.
Yeah, just something that is outside or
ourselves,
within,
beyond, bigger than ourselves.
Something beyond
and
us.
I think we all crave something bigger than ourselves. That's why people volunteer.
Yeah.
That's why people work at jobs that hopefully fill their soul.
Absolutely. 1,000,000%, Rama. Yeah. But I think true surrender in relationships, in relationship, it gets us close to that
Gets
surrender.
us closer.
Right?
Closer to fine, as the Indigo Girls so beautifully
right.
sang about. Closer
Exactly.
to fine. I wonder if that's what they were talking about. Maybe kind of, sort of.
We'll have to look at the lyrics.
Ah,
yeah,
yes.
I wonder, have you yourself experienced that surrender?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been lucky enough to experience that a few times. Yeah, without going into any graphic detail, but yes, I have, and it's beautiful and wonderful. And if God, the universe is, if I'm so lucky to experience that again, that would be an amazing thing. Again, with the right person, the right timing, and the whole right timing thing. That's the thing that we were talking about yesterday. Oh, I'm not ready. She's not ready. I'm not ready. It's like, I have a friend who's 94 years old, 94 years of age, and I don't think he's going to say he's not ready. I mean, when are we going to be ready? I have however many years I have. I'm ready.
Yeah,
But
I want to talk about that.
There has been. I know. We'll put that aside for a second. But how'd we get going on that?
Yeah, but
timing. With the right person, surrender. Yes, I've experienced that, and it is closer to God. It is God-like. It's just the letting go.
The letting go, and so I think a lot of. I have not myself yet experienced this.
I hope you do and will.
I hope I will, but I have theories about it. I have hypotheses about it that I'm going to test, right? So, so my first hypothesis is that this surrender is able to happen when two people can provide for each other a safe container. And I think let's maybe preface this episode by saying we're going to be talking about heterosexual, cis heterosexual relationships, because that's both of our experience.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So I think
but acknowledging that there are
surrender can happen in I imagine any context, but our focus will be on that type of relationship.
Yeah, and at some point maybe we can talk about other types of sexuality or preferences, and maybe if we end up having guests on, we can have guests talk about their different experiences, because we're open to that, and we love people, and we love whoever's going to make their themselves closer to God as well, in whatever way that is.
Absolutely.
Whatever choices they make for themselves.
There's so many beautiful ways to do it, right?
Yeah.
But so this idea of a safe container that two people provide for each other. So in your moments of surrender, did you feel like you had that?
I'm having a hard time thinking back and remembering the specific person I shared it with, a specific experience, but I do know that it was beautiful. And the feeling was not possessiveness, not like, oh, I hope this continues. It's just like totally in the moment. It was just, it's bring us into the moment.
Yeah.
There's no past, there's no future, there's not worry about the future. Oh, is this going to happen again? How long are we going to stay together? The futurizing. There was no futurizing. And whenever I futurized, that's a death knell for a relationship.
Yeah.
And I do my best, knock on wood, not to futurize.
Yeah.
Because that just doesn't.
It's hard, being in the present moment.
So so I guess the best way to describe it was total presence. Total presence.
Yeah.
And no attachment.
Yeah. I mean, I know, it's just, I crave, like you were saying, that physical safety. And it's not just like I'm not going to be harmed, like safety from bad things happening, but like a safety in knowing that I can step into my full sexual power and not have it be intimidating, not have it be something that someone is afraid of.
Someone else is afraid of, or you're afraid of it.
Right.
The back and forth energy, afraid of.
Exactly. Having someone like meet it, receive it. Meet it and receive it, right? I think
embrace it.
Embrace it. I think that's a huge part of the surrender.
The mutual embrace.
Yeah. So there's a mutual embracing and receiving of that sexual energy, right?
Absolutely, yeah. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. But also that emotional piece, like you were saying, right? Allowing yourself to be weird.
Yeah.
Right?
Ourselves,
Yourself.
our authentic selves,
Your
whatever that
authentic
is.
Self.
Yeah, because oftentimes we're self-conscious about that. Cool, can I do that? Can I suggest that? Can I ask for that? You know, asking for our 100%. What is that? It's too early to do that. Oh, wait for that. No, not yet. Or they'll get, the mental gymnastics we may play within ourselves before we even talk about it with that other person. At what point do we get so comfortable that we can talk about that?
The talking about it is huge.
I love talking about it.
The talking about it is huge, right?
I think
safe
talking
container.
about it is one of the most aphrodisiacal things in the world. I love talking real. I love being authentic. I love talking sex. I love talking.
Right, because it's
the
too...
most. What do they say? The most erotic. Whatever in the body is the brain. What's that expression? What's that?
Oh, that's a good one. I don't know what that is, but
the most erotic part of the body
is the brain.
Or something to that
that's
effect.
So true, isn't it? That's so true.
Yeah.
But I think a big part of creating that safe container, it's not just allowing things to unfold in the moment. I mean, that can be fun too, but it's knowing, kind of going in what you need, right? Communicating.
Communication. Yes, communication. Big.
And that's what's
so erotic.
Exactly.
The communication.
Exactly.
And talking about it, communication. Deep communication.
Yes.
That is so stimulating, so erotic. It's so
intimate.
Intimate.
It's so intimate, right?
And we let our hair down. I let all my hair down.
Yeah.
You still have hair to let down. But letting our hair down and really...
Yeah, showing up as your most authentic self. And
showing up.
And knowing what you want and not being afraid, because the other person has made you feel safe,
yes.
right? And, and you're safe in yourself, right? But there's that trust, that safety that you can really ask for what you want and need.
And you, yesterday, emotional surrender, like you were saying how you want someone, a man in your life who can emotionally surrender as well.
Yes,
right?
There is nothing sexier to me than a man
surrender,
who will cry in front of me.
Oh yeah.
I love that because
Really?
it's intimate, right? It's what it is. It's him trusting me not to judge, and that turns me on.
Trusting you not to judge.
Yes.
And that's intimacy.
That's intimacy.
More, and that when that grows and cultivates and grows and is nourished and is watered and is
exactly
lubricated. I love that word, lubricated.
Yeah.
Glad I could throw that in the proper vernacular. The water and the intimacy, or nourishing the intimacy.
It's part of that safe container, right? Like someone trusting me to hold the space for him to be an emotional being,
to cry in your arms.
Exactly. Yeah, because it's also it's allowing me to share my gifts. which
you have so many. You have lots and lots of gifts to share.
Thanks, Rama.
You do.
But yeah, I mean, I love being able to hold space for someone, and like to do that for a partner, for someone I love. Like nothing would bring me more joy than that, right? And then to be able to reciprocate and feel like, you know, safe in a sexual way, in a physical way, like that is the magic.
Yeah, and what does that look like for you as far as sexual surrender? Are there certain things you've wish that you could have in a relationship that you haven't had yet that you might look forward to in that type of surrender?
Yeah, I mean, share? I'm excited to just be free.
Free. Yeah, in whatever way that looks like. Yeah.
Freedom. I'm looking for freedom in every area of my life, certainly in a sexual way. Yeah, and I don't think I'm alone in that. I think, you know, I think there are a lot of people, men, women, you know, who want to feel free.
And we were talking about free to be with someone that we can laugh with, make love and make laughter with, make love and laughter.
Yeah.
Make love and laugh and smile
and play.
And play. Laugh, smile, and play.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
mind if I write that down?
Yeah, and let's throw cry in there too, because I think that's important.
Laugh.
I watched the '93, the Jimmy
Smile.
SP.
Did you?
And he talks about he says you should do 3 things every day: cry.
Jimmy Valvano.
Yep. Cry, laugh, and then what was the other one?
Think deeply.
Think deeply. I love that.
Laugh, think deeply, and cry.
And cry.
Jim Valvano. If people haven't watched it, it's from, I believe, the 1992 or 1993 ESPY Awards, ESPY, the ESPN Sports Awards. Jim Valvano was a famous basketball coach and motivational speaker. Powerful man who got ravaged by cancer, and he had gotten the Arthur Ashe Award 1992 or 93 at the ESPYs. And it's his speech that he gave and the power of him coming up to the stage and being able to make that speech. And there wasn't a dry eye in the house of everyone in the audience, and myself included.
Yeah, it was really
moving. And I usually watch that once or twice a year too, just to have a reminder of, to laugh, to cry, to think.
Absolutely. I think that it carries through every area of our lives, and certainly being able to do that.
I'm glad you watched that and you enjoyed it.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. Yeah.
Where to go?
And so you know, kind of to transition to our next topic, our next point, to cultivate this intimacy, to allow this surrender to happen, to allow 2 people to hold a safe space for each other, communication is key.
Key.
But to communicate what you want and need, you first have to know what you want and need.
Right.
And so this, I think, comes down to holding a safe container for yourself.
Right. We talked about that yesterday. You talked about that a lot.
Yeah.
And what does that mean for you? Can you talk a little bit more specifically about that?
Absolutely. So for me, it's being willing to explore my multitudes, being willing to take some positive risks to grow, to figure out what I like, right? Maybe it's, you know, reading romance novels. Who knows? Maybe it's
writing romance novels.
Maybe it's writing erotica. That's what I'm doing now. Yeah. Maybe it's just like enjoying the sensation of eating an avocado and leaning into that pleasure. Maybe it's going ecstatic dancing and breaking through that barrier where you feel like you're being watched to feeling like you are just enjoying the pleasure of being in your body moving. Maybe it's just cranking the Hamilton soundtrack in your car and singing at the top of your lungs alone and just feeling that pleasure in your body, right? It's allowing yourself to explore what pleasure means for you, and sure, you know, your sexual pleasure too, but it's just like the like pleasure in your body, so you know what you need and what you want and what feels good. What does that look like for you?
Wow, I don't know what to say after all that. You said it so well. Yeah. What does that mean for me? Creating a safe container and for myself. Being true to myself, being authentic, not worrying about playing games. We talked about this. And I wrote this in my notes. It's like I'm happy and grateful to be evolving from playing games to learning to dance.
We'll talk about that
So
next.
yeah, so to me, self-contained is learning to dance and dancing rather than playing games. So being real, being authentic, dance like nobody's watching, sing like nobody's listening, make love like you'll never get tired. No, I threw that one in. I made that one up. But yeah, self-care, continual self-care, getting enough rest, working out, you know, 3 times a day at the gym, and then other times, you know, going for walks when my hip's not bothering me, running. That's creating a self-container for myself.
Absolutely.
Knowing what I'll put up with.
Your boundaries, knowing how to hold your own boundaries.
Yeah. That's a safe self-container for me. Whether it be romantic or friendship. And, you know, we probably have all, you know, weeded out some people in our lives that might not, you know, nourish us or whatever. We wish them well and maybe choose to moderate or not spend time with that person.
Yeah, not allowing yourself to lose energy.
You lose energy, yeah. So that's so many ways, I guess, now that I think about it and talk about it. So, and others as well.
Right, it's like showing up as ourselves. Your best.
And
right?
I have that on my vision board. Show up.
Yeah.
Show up for life.
And it's like show up for you.
Yeah.
Right. Show up for
life.
you.
Get out of bed by 6:30, 7:30, and that's one of the things I've worked on. Because I love my bed. I love to sleep. I wanted to sleep all morning this morning.
Yeah.
But I created a habit. They say, we'll talk about creating healthy habits, but they say we want to do something, do it for 42 days straight. And one of the things
why 42?
Because every cell in our body is brand new every 42 days.
Is that why?
Yeah, except for some of the cranium cells. Those take a little bit longer to rejuvenate. But molecular biologists, doctors say that every 42 days, every cell in our body is brand new, basically. Give or take. There's people in the audience that will be doing the math out there. So when I try to ingrain a habit, I do it for 42 days.
Yeah.
And there was a while back that I was sleeping too late. You know, I wasn't being as productive and, you know, so I realized, well, I got to get up in the 7s. So my goal was to get up when the clock was on 7:01, 7:59, preferably the early 7s. And now it's just, I have a hard time staying in bed past 7:30, and sometimes I have to force myself, maybe on the weekends, to stay in bed till 8:30.
Yeah.
But generally, the habits become ingrained.
Yeah.
So that's another way I've created a safe self-container for myself.
Yeah.
Showing up for life, getting out of bed, showing up for life, staying up for life, getting up for life, and staying up all day, not going back to bed to take a nap if I really don't need to. So
I like that you're talking about routines, because I think there's it's something that I still struggle with, because I want freedom, right? I want freedom. I mentioned this just a few minutes ago, and for a while I was a slave to routine in my last job, right? Like it was dogmatic almost. It was just, and so when I made a transition to start my own business, I didn't hold myself to those strict routines because I wanted to feel that freedom. And I'm glad I experienced it. But I will say, I think there is something so beautiful. It's another safe container, right? A container for your time. Right? Allowing yourself to have some
not let
boundaries.
Time get away, not let time waste.
You got it. Exactly. And so, I think that's another really powerful way we can hold space for ourselves. And knowing, you know, there is room for flexibility,
that's why I say,
like, let's have
once in a while I give myself an 8:30.
Yeah, exactly.
To sleep till.
Exactly. We can have it be this way most of the time and feel secure in our routine and our habits. But
right, and how does that relate to relationships and our sensuality and our intimacy and sexuality?
I mean, learning how to hold boundaries for yourself in any context helps you hold boundaries for yourself in other contexts. Right? Learning how to count on yourself, how to trust yourself to provide what you need.
Like, for instance, if I'm with someone, a new relationship, a new girlfriend, and she wants to lounge around in bed till like 11:30 a.m. or 2:30 p.m. And I probably will. I love it. But what if I'm like, feeling kind of, we gotta get going for the day. We said we're gonna go hiking and above the Mount Monadnock or whatever. It's like, yeah, we're having fun, but let's so that boundary as well.
Yes.
But maybe because we're having so much fun, or she wants to, or whatever, or we do something that might not be my safe self-container boundary.
Yeah.
And make an exception to it, which is fine once in a while. But then, if
then
every Sunday morning she wanted to be, hanging out till 11:30 or 2:30 in the afternoon, and I really wanted to be out doing stuff with her, and showing her the beautiful stuff where I live, near where I live, and exploring trails, and
that's a great
then we'd be
example.
making love on the trails.
Yeah,
making love in a castle, an old abandoned castle, or whatever. It doesn't mean we're not gonna, have fun all day.
Yeah, it's a perfect example.
Yeah.
It's a perfect example because knowing that you need that, right? You've done the work to figure out that hey, I like getting up at 7 and enjoying a full day, right? Like you can communicate that
with you. Let's
right?
go.
Yeah. And again, there's maybe room for compromise.
But we can hang around,
sometimes.
make homemade blueberry pancakes for a while and then go.
Occasionally we can shake things up, but again, not at the expense of
ourselves.
Of you.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that carries through in so many other ways, right? If you're someone who needs to go to bed at a certain time, right, to be okay, it's good to know that and communicate that, because if you sacrifice that day after day, there's going to be resentment.
Right, and I've had those kind of relationships with a friend wants to stay up and talk or just kind of, doesn't want to, have dinner at 9:30, 10:30, and then wants to be up and talking till 12:30, and it's I like to be in bed, reading by 10:30, conked out by 11. It's oh man, because I want to get up and have a full day the next day too.
Yep, exactly.
So again, there's, being malleable and flexible about it, but still knowing to let that happen over and over and over again when it's not honoring ourselves.
Exactly. You're both going to be.
That's not a safe.
It's not a safe container.
For ourselves.
Yep, it's not a safe container for yourself, and because you're not able to hold a safe container for yourself, you're not able to hold a safe container for her.
Bingo.
Yeah, exactly. And knowing what does your body need, right? I know I need to go for a run most days of the week. To sacrifice that. Oof. That's my medicine.
Yeah. Same with my workouts,
my
Monday, Wednesday, Friday gym workouts.
Yeah. So again, I've done the self-inquiry, the self-experimentation to figure out that that's something that I need, right? And we all have that privilege. We all have the privilege to figure those things out
and communicate them with our new partner, with our new partners, or partners that we've been with for a while, and that may shift and change.
Yeah, and I think there's always a way to communicate it in kindness, right?
Absolutely.
To say, hey, this is something I've discovered about myself that I need to show up as the best version of me. I just want to make sure that you know that.
So that person doesn't take it personally. So we don't mean it personally. We're not doing it as a criticism.
Exactly. It's not it's not me trying to hold you at arm's length. It's me actually trying to draw closer to you because
bingo.
Yeah, but we
Right.
can't do that unless we know ourselves.
Yeah, and that dance. We talked about dance.
That's our next episode, Rama. Don't give too much away.
That was our whole next episode. I thought that was the third. Yeah, never mind. Scratch that. Don't edit that though, Mark. This is good. All right, dance. We'll dance later.
Yeah. So again, holding that safe container, and I think it's interesting to think about what happens when that safe container breaks.
Broken. Yeah. Okay.
Have you had that experience?
Yeah. Kind of like I talked about with the staying up too late. Late sometimes. I remember a specific example. It was I'm in a vulnerable moment. Do I want to share this? I'll be vulnerable. Always, I guess I'm working on erring on the vulnerability side rather than holding it. So
me too.
All right.
I'll be vulnerable too next.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right, it was a New Year's Eve situation. So specifically, it was a New Year's Eve situation, and it was with a woman that she kind of liked the later hours, than me, and I was always trying to get to bed earlier, so we had that dance, shall we say. And it was New Year's Eve. There was nothing. I think it was pandemic times.
Okay.
Yeah. There's nothing going on. We weren't going to go out anywhere. It's
Yeah.
And she wanted to be up and out and walking about the neighborhood at, you know, when it was midnight and it was like 10 o'clock and I was like ready to go to bed. And she was like really hell-bent to stay up till midnight. And we kind of did a little, it wasn't even a dance, it was like a dispute. It was you know, about the whole thing. And it kind of,
sounds like it felt not so good.
Yeah, so that broke my safe self-container, I guess. And
gosh, when communication has broken down, it's gutting. Like, I'm just thinking about my last relationship and how we just, at the end, we couldn't talk about anything. The only time we could really spend together was bicycling, because we're, you know.
You've mentioned bicycling a number of times. It's one of the things you did together,
Or sitting in the car, driving and listening to music, because communication had so broken down. Like we couldn't talk anymore. And there is no intimacy without that, right? Nothing else can exist if you can't
And have you experienced, do you want to say more about that before I?
No, go ahead.
Well, I just had a question. Have you experienced that maybe in that relationship you did or others where there's such amazing communication that you can also sit in the silence together without having to say a word?
That is a beautiful thing. Yeah. And I think, gosh, talk about a safe container, alone time, quiet time.
Alone time, quiet time.
Knowing how much you need, knowing how to.
Knowing how to, and so the person doesn't take it personally. I need to go, you know, like if, let's say you're on vacation in Ireland, it's like, I got to go take the afternoon to, you know, I'll see you at dinner, okay? I'm going, I need some time. And that other person not taking it personally. And that's a dance of communication.
To have cultivated the intimacy where that person feels safe.
And letting them have their time too.
Exactly. They don't feel
people.
like, they don't feel like it's an attack or some kind of insult. But again, you've laid the groundwork for that, right?
Right. Hopefully.
It's not.
Sometimes maybe you haven't laid enough groundwork for that.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you're on vacation, like, I need my time for like 5 hours. And you've never talked about it.
Right.
Ooh.
Yeah. Being upfront, being candid, so important.
But that happens.
It happens, And I guess the whole thing is the way that we figure out our needs is by experimenting.
Yes.
You know,
we learn.
It's our whole lives are this process of self-discovery and self-inquiry and learning. So,
but you talked about taking your alone time, but alone time together too, or that quiet time together. I've had those things. It's so beautiful when you just be together, not have to say a word. Maybe you're just, you know, you're both reading, or maybe you're just in each other's arms. Not saying a word. And we talked about, you know, with the Tantra thing, what does that mean? I've got my little Tantra speed date. Mark, can you zoom in on this? We'll talk about this, I'm sure, a whole episode. Tantra speed date, which I've done a number of these. I volunteer at the events too. A lot of fun, really heartfelt. But the whole Tantra thing of just being present with someone without having to necessarily get it on, have sex, whatever.
The pleasure in every bit of it.
Right. And the whole, I wrote down earlier about the letting go of control and having to orgasm. And maybe at some point, we're wrapping up here, but the end game for you know, is it the orgasm? No, it's and this whole saying, it's the journey, not the destination. So for me, I've had to work at letting go during lovemaking and like not thinking about having an orgasm, because that can really get in the way.
Yeah, for sure.
Because we talked about, you know, experiencing God. Just letting go of control. Like, I want to have this you know, experience, this, you know, pinnacle.
It can happen throughout, right? It's not.
It could be a full body orgasm. Could be just the experience of. That's why I want to explore more of the Tantra and just the presence and being together without having to necessarily be doing it or whatever, and then, you know, making love in all kinds of ways.
That'll be a great episode coming up.
Okay. So to be continued on that. Is this a wrap?
That's a wrap.
Really?
Thank you so much for joining us for Curious Awakenings.
Fun. That was fun.
Yeah. Catch us next time.